Thinking about moving to Kansas City? With so many great neighborhoods to choose from, where do you start? Well, in today's video, we're going to count down the 7 best places to live in Kansas City. Hi everyone, Max and Zach here, and we're your local real estate agents, your go-to resource for all Kansas City real estate. And whether you're thinking about buying or selling, or you just want to learn more about our city, our channel's here to help you make informed decisions. So today we're talking about the 7 most popular, maybe the best, maybe the most popular areas in Kansas City. And we're going to start with number 7 and we're going to count our way down to the number 1. All right, let's do it. All right, let's dig in. Number 7 on the list, downtown Kansas City. That's where all the action happens. Downtown. There is a lot of good spots in downtown. I will say primarily downtown there's a lot of rentals, so you got to take that into consideration. Although you can purchase lofts, condos, so there are a lot of variety of options. But man, it's a hustle and bustle place. There's a lot going on, entertainment, restaurants, super walkable. Yeah, for me, it's more of a place to go and hang out than live, but a lot of people do like to live there. There are some pockets where you can buy some condos or even some single family homes on Hospital Hill. I believe there's UMKC has a hospital there, and there's some single family home areas around there. The River Market is a really good area that's technically not downtown, but kinda. Yeah, it's adjacent to there. Yeah, you can throw a baseball and hit it. So yeah, and downtown I will say is changing a ton. From when I grew up in high school, it was a ghost land. And they've taken a lot of the old industrial buildings and converted them into condos and apartments. And now some big money's coming in and building new buildings, new hotels, new apartments. The Sprint Center's down there with tons of new restaurants in the Power and Light District, they call it. Yep. The Crossroads is in downtown. You've got the Lower East Side. Yep. Is downtown. So a lot of happening places going on downtown. Do you enjoy living close to the action? Downtown is close to the action, but there is not much public transportation like you'll find in a lot of downtown metropolitan areas. So it's still more of a driving city. You can take the buses. We do have a little trolley that will go, a streetcar, yep, it's called, that goes a one path downtown, but it's not enough to consider it public transportation. So a lot of Ubering around or walking, packed full of action, but not the best for public transport. Yeah, and like most downtowns, it's going to be a little more expensive. So the square footage you're going to get for the money, whether you're renting or purchasing, is going to be a lot less. How important is it to you to live close to work and live close to the action? Is kind of a question you need to ask yourself. That's where a lot of the bars and a lot of the entertaining things to do are. And if that's really important to you, then you may want to consider downtown. But I will say you can live 10 minutes away and go there. So if you want to be within a 5-minute walk, then living downtown could be a lot of fun, but you can still live nearby and be there pretty quick. Number 6, we have Brookside. What stands out to you about Brookside? Brookside, it's like that charming old neighborhood. It's just on the south side of downtown. It actually began a long time ago, but kind of had a revitalization in the 70s and 80s. And it's charming, it's walkable. In fact, it was one of the first neighborhoods in Kansas City that was designed for people to be using cars in. So it does have driveways that were originally put in place, although maybe one car and not two. Sidewalks, it's walkable. If you know what a Tudor is, a Tudor house, and like that sort of thing, it's chock full of Tudors with the sloped roofs and look like, they're just little hobbit houses. Yeah. With a nice little front porch and a lot of brick, and they're really cool. The architecture is amazing. Yeah, screened in front porches and, where the mailman walks up to the house and puts the mail in the slot type of thing. And maybe your garage is detached in the backyard from the house and not actually an attached garage. Yeah, back alleys and that sort of thing. So very charming area to live. But I will say that the price per square foot is going to be a lot lower than out in the suburbs, because Brookside is it's on the south side of town and is right in the happening areas. I mean, people go to live there not to get the best bang for the buck out of the house. you're going to get a much smaller home than you can in some of the burbs. Yeah, more the lifestyle. You get like that walkability, the being really close to your neighbor and that dense population. And the streets are narrow too, so there's some pros and cons to living down there, but it is a very sought after. People are chomping at the bit to get in there, so it's a nice spot. The one thing about Brookside that I really love is it's adjacent to Kansas City's version of Central Park. It's called Loose Park, and it is awesome little spot. I love to bike ride from Loose Park. It's down kind of between the plaza and Brookside, kind of by Mission Hills, and love to bike ride from Loose Park up the trolley trail, which is a running and biking trail, and it will run all the way from Brookside through Waldo and some of Kansas City's just most picturesque part of town. So I love it for that. When you're down close to downtown like that is, in the older part of the city with a dense population, you're closer to crime on the east side, so a little bit of that's going to bleed into there. So there's neighborhood watch programs, and everybody in Brookside's super friendly. There's a lot of families, so everybody's looking out for each other. But it's just something that you need to be aware of. Certain zip codes will have even your car insurance will be a little bit more because you're living and driving in higher crime areas, or streets without narrow streets. So there's just a lot more cars getting dinged up if you're parking in the street than you would in like a suburbs. Another thing that comes to mind as you were talking is for inspections. When you're inspecting the house, it is an older house, probably first built in the 40s or 30s, and a lot of stone foundations. So sometimes the stone foundation can be great, rather than a concrete foundation is 6 inches. Stone foundation might be 12 to 15 inches. So they've been there for 100 years and they're probably not going anywhere. But with that, you get some dampness in the basement. You're probably not going to get a finished basement. So it'd be maybe just for storage. Yeah. Along with that comes the sewer system was all clay tile back then. So a lot of the big mature trees that are charming are growing tree roots into your sewer lines. So it's not uncommon to have foundation problems, sewer problems, things like that. So you really want to do your due diligence when purchasing a house in Brookside. And then for schools, the only other con I would say for that area, just so you're aware of it, is the public school system in Kansas City, and that part of town is not great, but you do have Montessori schools, you got charter schools, and that's where most people that are gonna be there are gonna be taking their kids. But you've got bars, you've got nightlife, you've got all kinds of community events that come out. There's a St. Patty's Day parade. There's the Brookside Annual Art Fair. And then they do a sip and shop where all the vendors come out in the street. And it's every time I'm down there, it's been a beautiful day. All kinds of fun community events that keep everybody hopping down there. All right, number 5, Waldo. Waldo is a super walkable, bikeable neighborhood. It's got a lot of businesses. In fact, I think there's over 600 local businesses to Waldo, and over 60% of those are owned by locals. So an incredible space. It was actually started back in 1941. Dr. Waldo had a big farm down there, and he decided to develop it, and that's why it's named Waldo. A lot of people don't know that. Yeah, one of my favorite places in Waldo is the KC Beer Company. They have an outdoor beer garden, which is right along the trolley trail, kind of a bike trail. It is a really great place to pull in and have a couple beers outdoors. You can bring your dogs, and really fun place, a local brewery. Yeah, and then there's also Waldo Pizza. I like to, that's one of my favorite things to do when I travel, is to check out different pizza places, because it's kind of like barbecue. Everything's got its own flavor. But yeah, Waldo Pizza right in the heart of Waldo too. Definitely check that out if you're looking into it. Again, we're in those Kansas City school districts, so not great public schools, but there is some private schools that you can attend there as well. Questions to ask yourself: are you looking for an affordable neighborhood with great amenities? And how important is it to balance that suburban charm with city access? Yeah, I'd say that's what makes Waldo one of the best. Is it's very affordable. If you want to have that urban feel to it, if you want it to be walkable and not cookie cutter. We hear that a lot from folks. They're like, I don't want one of those cookie cutter neighborhoods. And I think they're talking about houses that were put up in the 90s and just, 90s and early 2000s just slapped up. That is not what you're going to find in Waldo. There's a lot of charm, very unique. Houses have been renovated over the past 80 years. It definitely has that balance that you may be looking for. All right, we're on to number 4, the Plaza area, or the Country Club Plaza. It's an expensive place to be, so you've got a little bit of everything. You do have some kind of houses over on the west side. A lot of high-rise condos, artsy. It's the most premier high-end shopping Kansas City has to offer is the Country Club Plaza. It's over 55 acres of shops that are all privately owned. And some say it was the first shopping center that was built for people to arrive by cars. Before this was built, I guess everything was just like a mall, parking lots wide open. And the Country Club Plaza was one of the first places to put in like parking garages and underground parking. They built it a long time ago. It kind of has that Spanish vibe to it. It's really cool. It's beautiful. There's over 40 fountains and all kinds of art built in the architecture just of this shopping district. Yeah, we are the city of fountains after all. And then just surrounded by all different styles of housing and high rises. And then it trickles. There's actually trails. Brush Creek kind of runs south of the plaza. It has nice walking trails on both sides, tennis courts, Nelson Art Museum's just down the street. But then as you go south, you get into Luce Park, which Max has mentioned that he likes to ride his bike through. And it's just a massive park that kind of reminds us of like Central Park in New York City. And it's just all right there. So Plaza, again, since you're kind of in that dense Kansas City downtown suburban area, is not going to have the great school districts. So you've got Pembroke Estates, which is a premier private school. Did I say estates? That's a neighborhood. Yeah, I didn't mean estates. I meant Pembroke Hill. Pembroke Hill, yeah. But a very prestigious school. In fact, there's people from all over the city go to that school, located just southwest of the plaza. Yeah, so questions you may be asking yourself if you're considering the plaza area is, do I want to live in one of Kansas City's most prestigious areas? Luxury lifestyle. That's what you need to be thinking. You'll be having lunch on the plaza every day, not mowing your grass, not doing anything because you live in a condo and everything's taken care of. So that's what, if you're looking to be pampered, you might consider it. I was going to mention too, I don't think I've mentioned this in any videos before, but I've got several clients. Like some people live in Kansas City, like in a suburb somewhere, and then have like a lake house down at the Ozarks or somewhere else. Well, I also have clients that live in a suburb and then have a condo down by the plaza. It doesn't have to be one of the super ritzy 5-star ones, but they'll have a condo down there and they'll go down there and spend the weekends. It's kind of, call it a crash pad or whatever. So that can be an option too, if that's kind of your vibe, but you don't want to spend all your time down there or have a day job up north or something. Yeah, you could find a condominium, a 2-bedroom condominium with a doorman and an elevator in the, upper 2s, lower 300,000 range. So it doesn't not have to be a $3.5 million unit, but absolutely you could have a weekend getaway for you and the wife in that sort of price range as a second place. All right, so that takes us on into Westport, also called Midtown, which is just north of this plaza area. So I think that's kind of why it's kind of a charming area that kind of came up on this list. It's close to all that kind of prestigious shopping and entertainment, but it's just, I think, 8 to 10 blocks north of the plaza. So easily accessible by bike or foot. It's got some history to it. One of the first neighborhoods in Kansas City was called Westport because it was the last port where people that were traveling down the Oregon Trail and Santa Fe Trail could like stock up on provisions. Got a lot of history. In fact, there's still an old covered wagon that says Old Westport as you're driving through it, right there as you enter it. So it's kind of funny. It was the city's premier entertainment district back before the downtown really started its revitalization here in the last 15, 20 years. So there was a street with a lot of bars, restaurants, comedy clubs, music venues. Yeah, there was a lot. As a youngster, we used to spend a lot of time down there seeing concerts and hitting bars. But I'd say it's probably faded a little bit over the years and spread out, and it's still be a fun place to live. In fact, all of these places that we've mentioned, Brookside and Waldo and the Plaza and now Westport, are all just stacked on top of each other. They're one and the same, just a gradient of depending on what your flavor is. So like a cheeseburger, you get the meat, you got the cheese, we got the lettuce, tomatoes, and the buns. Yep. It just depends what what part is your favorite part of the cheeseburger? So that brings us to number 2 on the list. And this one,
my personal favorite.
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
I love the Northland.
We've got the Northland, and the Northland is, you see in some of our other videos, is a river that goes across our state, right through Kansas City. And everything north of that river is considered the Northland. And everything north of that river happens to be Missouri.
So the Northland is primarily Clay County on the east side and Platte County on the west side. Now, as you go north, you have some other counties up by Kearney and Platte City, going up both I-29 and I-35. But primarily, you've got Clay and Platte County, and that is broken out into 3 school districts. So in Platte County, you've got Park Hill School District. And then right in the middle, you have North Kansas City School District. And then on the east side, you have Liberty Schools. And they're all really fantastic. I think as you get a little bit south into in the center of North Kansas City, might get a little more urban feel down in Northtown, and not the best schools. You start with like Northtown down below, and then Winnetonka, and then Oak Park, and then Staley. And I think it gets a little better as you go north. But both Park Hill and Liberty are fantastic areas, very low crime, lots of things to do, more set up for driving, not really super walkable unless you get down in Old Northtown.
Yep. Old Northtown, you can get like downtown Parkville or maybe even downtown Liberty and have a little bit of walkability. But yeah, for the most part, the Northland, like how I explain it to people, is we've just got a little more elbow room. Everything's a little more spread out. There's half the traffic is everywhere else in the city. But we still have all the amenities. In fact, we've got one of my favorite amenities in the Northland is the airport, Kansas City's MCI airport. So we're super close to that in the Northland with great school districts, great average price points. So it's just a really good suburban mix feel, a great place to raise families.
Another thing that's great about the Northland is right in the center, if you go up 169 Highway, is Smithville Lake. It's a huge Corps of Engineers lake. You can't actually have houses on the lake, but you can bring your boat up there, and it is a fantastic place we're very lucky to have Smithville Lake in Kansas City, but especially the Northlanders. I mean, you're 10 minutes and put the boat in and you're skiing. And in fact, I think you're headed there this weekend, aren't you?
Yeah, I might be. Most every place in the Northland too, you're still just 15, maybe 20 minutes from downtown, depending on how far north you go. But it's just quick access to everything, and you can still get downtown if you want to hit the plaza area for a nice dinner or hit the Sprint Center for a concert. You still got access to all that. Even the stadiums are fairly easy to get to on the east side of town. So I think that if you're considering moving to the Northland, what you might be asking yourself is, hey, am I looking for a good value? Like I can get a lot of house for my money. I'm looking for great public school districts, and I'm just, looking for, it's a friendly area. You can pop into a neighborhood, build community quickly. But also if you want to stay private, that's not that big a deal either.
It's my favorite. I'm maybe a little biased because I live in the Northland, but I also feel like it's really centrally located. And its proximity to the airport, you can't beat it. We like to travel 3 or 4 times a year as a family for vacations, and you get home and you're traveling for 4 or 5 hours or 8 hours, and then you get home and have to drive for another hour. That is a bummer. So that's one of the things that on the south side of town that people have to do that we don't. We're home in 10 to 15 minutes after we hit the tarmac.
So that brings us on to the number 1. And this comes up quite a bit. In fact, not only do we think it's probably number 1 and agree with that, but it comes up as several charts like Kansas, in the nation, like best places to live in the country, and that's Overland Park, Kansas. So it is on the Kansas side. It's just kind of south of the Northland we were talking about, and just west of all those other neighborhoods like Brookside, Waldo, the Plaza. West of that, it's one of the biggest suburbs of Kansas. It is the biggest suburb of Kansas City with over 200,000 people, and has one of the best school districts for the whole state of Kansas. So a lot going on there. They're building like crazy. The prices are a little higher, but all in all, it's in a fantastic place full of amenities.
If you're cruising down I-35 from the Kansas City Center, you've got Overland Park on both sides of you, and it is huge. It's a really huge area, and it's got a couple other pockets that are adjacent to it, like Prairie Village and Leawood. And as you go through Overland Park, you head out to Olathe. But Overland Park is just phenomenal. I mean, it has everything you could to offer. I mean, it has from every price range, a little bit lower end towards old downtown Overland Park, where you can have little old ranches with single car garages, to couple $1 million brand new mega mansions. So it has a lot to offer, lots of golf courses, tons of shopping centers, restaurants. It has everything you could want in the city. We as Northlanders will go to Overland Park quite a bit for things that we want to do or need. It's rare for people in Overland Park to come to the Northland for something that they need. So it is, it's a fantastic place. It's a little on the expensive side, and a little more traffic, a little more hustle and bustle, and a little further from the airport than I want, but a great place.
And continually comes in as one of the best places and the top place in Kansas City. Hey, so if you're thinking about moving to any of these amazing neighborhoods we just talked about, or you want to explore some other neighborhoods, then feel free to reach out.
Yep, and if you're not ready yet, well then just go ahead and subscribe so you can watch our other videos, and then you can reach out to us when the time is right for you. And until then, we'll see you in the next one.
See you on the next one.